we hear that 95% of them are actually from emotional issues, basically breakups. So maybe today we'll be looking at not just handling breakups and helping you to know maybe when to put a pause and then probably check your life. And I mean, not every relationship should lead to marriage. After
Not
all.
really, but is there really a very good, or is there the best way to actually break up with someone? In your,
Well,
in your opinion?
well, I've been taught in time past that the best way to break up, you have to look at situations before you. I mean, if the person is actually preparing for probably a professional exam, or if a person just lost a loved one or something, you have to be sensitive before you break up. All right, so
Let us go straight to Abuja. Briefly, we are being joined by Senator Emmanuel Gwacha, who represents Taraba South. Many thanks for joining us, Senator, on Galaxy today. Let's talk about some pertinent security issues quickly with you. Would you say, in your opinion, that the visit of the president to Taraba State has actually doused tension? Because a whole lot of people are saying that what happened at the Mambila Plateau was just more about an ethnic cleansing. So what's the situation like? What reports are you getting from your constituents?
Thank you very much for having me. I want to say that I represent Taraba South, but I'm familiar with the fact that the situation has subsided to some extent. But on the presidential visit, I think it is better done than not at all, because it has calmed nerves that, yes, the president has shown concern. Otherwise, the feeling generally was that the president was not bothered about what was happening there. Now his coming has restored to some extent, to a very large extent, hope in the minds of the people. So, and I think it did more good than damage. It was a good thing that he visited.
Still talking about internal security, let's look at the situation right now in Kogi State. From what we hear from plenary yesterday, the senators mandated its Committee on Judiciary and that of National Security and Intelligence to summon the National Security Advisor and the AGF to swing into action to reverse the law establishing the newly formed vigilante group in Kogi State. Can you bring us up to speed as regards your debate on the floor yesterday?
The situation in Kogi is increasingly becoming very worrisome. Worrisome in the sense that, first, this is a young man that should be a source of inspiration to other young men, because there has been this agitation that not too young to run. And if you have a young man like that in the saddle, and report keep trickling in about instability, about young men also being recruited to inflict injury and even kill, it can be so worrisome, and that also may even dampen the morale of those who support the agitation for the not too young to run. Now, it is not a question for just once. It's a report that has been coming in continuously. We are expecting a preliminary report from the committee we set up to go and see on the spot, or to have an on-the-spot assessment of those things that were imported, allegedly imported by the Kogi State government. We have not received the report, so let me not preempt what the committee will say, but the truth is that these items were on display even on some of the national televisions. We are aware. How this will be defended, or who will come to claim he did this importation, is what we are waiting to see. But generally speaking, the report that is coming from Kogi is not encouraging at all, because it is not a once-in-a-while report. It keeps on coming in. Pictures were circulated of the vigilante group that were lined up with weapons that are not to be carried about, that are in the range of high-profile rifles. So this is truly a situation that we must all look at. And like I said on the floor yesterday, the challenge of insecurity has reached a freezing point that we need to call to order everything, to stand down everything and address this matter. And politicians must stop even talking about elections of 2019. Because until you are alive, before you talk about elections, lives of people should be more important. People should respect the sanctity of life. Otherwise, when we look at our interest is to go and contest election, anybody who stands in our way, kill him. Then we are not promoting democracy. And our democracy will remain stunted. This is also not good for us as a nation. We have remained on this same pedestal for a long time, that our democracy is a nascent democracy. When will it grow? It keeps growing. Other democracies have walked, they are now jumping, and they are running, but we are still crawling. This is a very disturbing development, and it is not acceptable to us as a parliament.
Senator, one final question just before we'll let you go. A lot of Nigerians are wondering what will be the next line of action from the Senate as regards the issue of election sequence ordering as rejected by the President. Is the Senate going to exercise its veto on this particular issue?
Well, you will hear from us. We have heard about Mr. President's position. Yes. He withholds assent, or he has withheld assent to the bill which defines election sequence. We as a parliament will get back to Nigerians on our position. And again, I mustn't be seen preempting our decision. We are going to vote on it, and we are going to get back to Nigerians because it is an issue that is quite very dear to our heart. We want an orderly election. We want an election that will not be rigged. And we want all leaders across all strata to bear in mind that it is God that gives power. And so if you are contesting an election, have it in mind that you could be or you may not. And so this desperation that sweeps across the landscape is another disturbing aspect of our democracy. So when people want to stick to, if you are popular, whether they start with you, whether they don't start with you, you still win. So I don't see anything worrisome about this to people contesting the election. Just be sure of yourself. Just have the confidence that Nigerians love you, whether you are a local government chairman, whether you are contesting to go to state assembly or to national assembly or to be a governor or even the president. Bear in mind that what you're looking for is the support of Nigerians. If you are accepted, if your election comes first, you'll win. If your election comes last, you'll still win. So it is not a contentious issue. When people begin to display desperation, it will appear then there is an ulterior motive, that there is an objective that is not known to Nigerians. So please let us implore decorum and let us try to introduce finesse to this game so that we shouldn't be seen trying to rock the boat. I think this is my candid opinion. But as a parliament, on whether or not we will veto it, we are going to deliberate on this. And if I tell you this is our line of action, I'm preempting what we're going to do, because I don't do like that. The action has, suppose I tell you we are not going to veto it and then we end up vetoing it. And if I say we are going to veto it and we decide not to veto it, so we don't do so. We will have to wait until when we deliberate on it, sooner than later. In the very nearest, future, we are going to get back to Nigerians in this position.
say a very big thank you to you for sharing your thoughts as regards the security situation in the country and, of course, the issue of election sequence we ordering. We do appreciate it. All right, we've been speaking with Senator Emmanuel Gwacha, a senator representing Taraba South at the Senate. It's the Galaxy today, away from politics and all of that. We'll be taking the motivational chat right now. We have a business life executive coach with us here in the house, Abiola Salami. Many thanks for joining us on Galaxy today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me
Abiola Salami.
today again. Thank you.
Okay, so we're looking at communicating your way to greatness. I mean, I think a whole lot of people do really not understand what communication is. They just feel it's about listening and speaking. And probably just read a couple of your body language and just think, but how do we put this into walking our ways into greatness?
Okay. First, let me appreciate the person that created Communicate Your Way to Greatness, because it is not my own creation.
Okay.
And that is a personal mentor and tutor. His name is Les Brown, who was 73 on the 17th of February. That's a couple of weeks ago. So, dear mentor, thank you for creating Communicate Your Way to Greatness. And how do we apply that to our lives, to work and to live it? It's about understanding a few things. Number one, to understand that with our words, we create our world. With our words, with the words that we speak, with what you say, you create your world. So you determine how your day would be by the things that you say. Because what is not actually what is, it is what you call it that is, right? Let me say that again.
Justin.
What is?
What
Actually, what is
Yes.
what you call it that
Justin,
is.
please.
I got that. I did a bit of logic.
Because what is not what is, but what you call it is actually what is.
It is, yeah.
Meaning that you can be going through a particular situation, and your description of that situation is, this is painful, this is overwhelming, I cannot get out of this, right? That is what you're calling it. And chances are you will not get out of it. Chances are it will be pain all through for you. There's another way to describe that situation, which could be that this is a learning situation for me and I will come out of this better. Or this thing is just temporary. It is not a permanent situation and I'll be better at the end of it.
Why do I feel Justin needs this lecture?
Well, you know, I've always been hoping, especially on a day like this, that maybe there won't be this banter today. You know, well, maybe there won't be this banter today. But what we need to know is that the words that we speak, the way we describe our situation, the way we describe ourselves especially, you know, some people, that's why you see some people are so confident about themselves, they will beat their chest and say that, I am great. Now, this person may not have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know, this person may not in any way look great. But the moment you start to say things like that to yourself, you empower yourself, you motivate yourself, you empower yourself to become what you are not right now.
But
So-
in that instance that you just mentioned, some people might term it as sheer denial.
Okay, so denial is, there is some reality, and you are saying that is not it, that is something else.
Yes.
Having confidence and using your words to create what is not yet in existence is that you are going through some situation, but you are seeing something different from it. Your mental picture, what you are seeing is not where you are, it's not what you are going through. It's that you are seeing that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And so because of that, you are projecting and saying that about yourself, because life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so the way, what you say to yourself, it is even less of people's opinion about you. It's even less of what other people are saying about you. It is more of what you say about yourself, you know, that becomes yourself. And a second point to that, which is very important, still in using our words to create our world, is paying attention to the things that we say. There's an old saying that without wood, the fire goes out. Without gossip, the quarrel goes out. Without wood, the fire goes out. Without gossip, you know, yeah, the things that we, and you know, people like to gossip.
Okay,
you know.
but talking about speaking what you want and saying how you want it, do you not think to some extent some people tend to be lazy? They tend to be laid back. They just feel like I can speak my way through and forget a part of hard work.
Okay, so let me start by saying speaking is hard work. You know, and talk is cheap. Sorry, and talk is not cheap. Talk is only cheap when it's not backed up with the right action. And if you are the person that is talking about it, not campaigning about it, you know what I mean, campaign. You know, if you're the person that is talking about it, you talk about it, you do it. You talk about it, you do it. You confess it, let me use that word. You confess it, you do it. You say it to yourself and you do it. Because one of the ways to receive power yourself, to receive the motivation you need to thrive, in certain circumstances, is the things you're saying to yourself. You're not beating yourself down. I mean, other people can be trying to beat you down, the situation can be trying to beat you down, but you're not beating yourself down. And the way to energize yourself is to say those things to yourself so that you can do what it is that you want to do.
But before you can say those things for yourself, you should be able to understand those things that you're saying. What's the place of information and knowledge as regards that? For instance, you're saying that you are a millionaire in the next 5 years, and it doesn't matter what I'm going through right now. I just see myself owing lots of multinationals and blue chip companies, and you don't even know a thing about blue chip companies.
Fantastic. There's a gentleman with the name A.W. Toffler that said that the illiterate of the 21st century won't be about those that can neither read nor write, but people that are not committed to a process of learning, relearning, and unlearning. So whatever it is that you are saying, it should be a product of your learning in those three phases. Learning, acquiring new information, unlearning what you know already that is no more necessary for the next level, and relearning what you have always know that you need to remind yourself and keep yourself abreast of. So the moment you commit to a lifelong process of learning, right, and you are saying those things. I mean, some people talk and their talk is empty, because they're just saying it. It's not backed by action. And before even action, not backed by knowledge, which is very important. And you find people that gather in different places, and they keep on confessing it and keep on saying it. But it is good to say it. You energize yourself, and after saying it, you roll your sleeves and start to work.
Okay, so let's get practical now. I'm going to use Justin as an example now. I mean, how do you help a case where you're like, okay, so how do you get a case where you're like, Justin, you'll be married?
Oh, not again.
No, wait. And
That's becoming very cliche.
Oh, come on, Justin. So, and it becomes something like, okay, don't let me use Justin. Let me use parents to child now.
Okay.
When it comes to speaking your way to greatness. As a parent, you have a role to a large extent to play in a child's life.
Yes.
Can you also speak your child's way to greatness? Regardless of age.
There are many ways to say that. One quick thing that came to mind was something that was trending on social media some time ago. That somebody called the Bill Gates, and say that, my son needs a job from you to become CEO. And say, who's your son? And he says, my son is the son-in-law, to the president. That was Bill Clinton that time. So, really? Then he called Bill Clinton. I said, I would like my son to be married to your daughter. I said, who's your son? And he said, my son is the CEO of Microsoft.
Just connecting all the dots.
Now, it wasn't real that was the guy's status,
Okay.
right? But what he did was to speak for his son, and every now and then parents speak for their children. That is one part of it. The other part to it is prayers. Speaking as part of prayers. Parents are encouraged to always pray for their children, and also be mindful of the things you say. It's good to control your tongue as a parent, even if the child is unruly. That you don't start to rain curses, on the child, or you don't start to say certain unimaginable things to your child, just to express just to express your pain, to the child. Because what you are also creating with negative words to your child is you're forming his or her mindset, and that could become what the child will be thinking of, and the way the child will see himself or herself from childhood to adulthood, and to becoming, and that may hinder the child from becoming the champion that he's supposed to.
All right. Okay, it's the Galaxy today. Just to quickly remind you that it is actually very conversational. If you have a question, or if you want to contribute to this particular discourse, feel free to do so. Just send an SMS. The number is on the screen, or interact with us via our various social media platforms using the hashtag Galaxy Today. How do you talk someone out of a situation where he has only seen loads of glooms in his life, and somehow there is no silver lining, and he feels, can I ever be great, no matter what I say to myself?
So it's about focus. It's about focus. So what the person is focusing on, and it's about attempting to let the person see better. There's a concept in neuro-linguistic programming that we call reframing.
Okay.
you know, which is you are looking at a particular situation alone. Maybe you've gone through heartbreak, you've gone through divorce, you've gone through a job loss, and so you're looking at that situation and you're wallowing in the murky waters of the negative emotions that you have about that. And to what we say about reframing is, while that is the situation, then you can look at the bigger picture. You know, the bigger picture, life is bigger than that. Seeing that there are opportunities that could be available for you. See that there's a place where you can develop yourself and position yourself to even get something better. Meanwhile, in talking somebody out of a situation, you cannot successfully talk someone out of a situation the person doesn't want to get out of.
Okay.
You know, so there should be that willingness at first on the part of the person that I want something better, but I don't know how. I need somebody to talk to me about something, or I need to read something somewhere. So it begins with that willingness, so that when your words come, remember, we said it's important for us to be mindful of the words we speak, so that when your words come, they come as seeds and they find a fertile ground to grow in the mind of that individual. Or else, if you sow your words in the mind of the person that is unwilling and unprepared to move and change and develop, it will be like thorns that would choke whatever it is that you are sowing. Then it will say, oh, what you said didn't make any meaning to me. You know?
Okay, so we've spoken with you speaking as part of the ways to communicate your way to greatness. I know we have reading and listening. How do you put this into play?
Okay, because the focus is communicate your way to greatness, that's why we're talking about speaking. On to the path of greatness, there is the place of developing yourself. Remember, I just shared now a quote from A.W. Toffler about learning, relearning, and unlearning. It is very important that we pay attention to learning. You know, some people were asked, the top richest people, some of them were asked a few years ago that, so what is your #1 secret to success? And they said reading. In fact, this gentleman, Warren Buffett, was asked that, so how did you grow to become? He said he reads 500 pages a day. I don't know how he does that. You know, I honestly don't know how he does that. And about the same thing with Larry Page, the same thing with even our much celebrated Oprah Winfrey, and the same thing with some of our locals in Nigeria. You know, there's a Dr. Christopher Kolade, a man I respect, salute a lot, my father, you know, who commits to ongoing lifetime learning. Dr. Kolade was 85 in December, 85. And when we're having conversations, he's telling me about the new things he's learning. So I look at myself that, so if this man has seen it all, done it all, and everybody's celebrating him, and what excuse do I have, you know, to stop reading? So we need to commit to learning. And so when we go online, it's not just that we are checking for pictures and liking pictures on Instagram or all the other social media handles. There are things that we can learn. And the more you learn, the more powerful you become. The more you learn, the more valuable you become. The more you learn, the more money will come to you.
All right, there's a question for you here. Okay. Okay, let me try and read this. Maybe you see what you can make out of it. He says, how can you, or he says, how will you influence your greatness once instincts, or when instincts are not willing?
When instincts. Okay, so the person's instincts are not
willing to grow, to
grow.
Yes.
Okay, let me attempt that I understand that question.
Okay.
And so you want to grow, but something inside you is stopping you from growing.
Okay.
So what to recommend is check out your environment, you know, and it's important who you listen to, what you see, the people that you relate with majorly. You know, it is said that you're an average of the 5 closest people with you. Your life is an average of the 5 closest people with you, which is the income you earn and your thought process. Okay. So if you think that there's anything holding you back internally, what you need to do is to change your environment. Get a new set of friends. And by changing your environment, it's not just about getting a new set of friends, also the things that you consume, you know, the things that get into your gates, your eyes and your ears. You know, so read books that will inspire you, watch things that will inspire you. Fraternize with people that will inspire you to start to thirst for something greater, something bigger than you. You know, something, the thing that you want to do, and gradually the thing holding you back, you know, we'll leave you alone.
Okay, it's good to know. Okay, so knowing that in communicating our ways, we have to speak, we have to learn. Okay, so how about investing into these ways? I mean, I know that investment could be buying of books, attending conferences and seminars, as regard to wherever part of greatness you want to choose. You may want to emphasize on that.
You know, the thing is, I believe that the greatest investment any one of us can make into ourselves is developing ourselves. Not just real estate. Real estate is good. Not just cars. Those are not investments, by the way. You know, so it's about educating ourselves. That's the greatest investment that we can make. Why is that more important than possessions? Because you can lose possessions, right? And if you know the process that you used to create those possessions, you can always recreate them, right? And so, but you cannot lose the value you have added to yourself, right? So it is important onto the path of greatness. It is important that we commit to, again, we can overemphasize that, we commit to learning. And there are multiple sources to that. The books that you read, the content you consume on the media, there are conferences, there are seminars, there are workshops that you can attend to learn and grow and learn and grow. None of us came to the world with anything, right? But the person that we become is as a result of all the interactions that we've had with people. And at the fulcrum of that, at the base of that, is the things we have learned from people, from interacting with others. Workshops, seminars, conferences, books, whatever it is that we consume to make us better adds a lot to that.
All right, well said. You know, you cannot really get too much of knowledge. Just try and invest in as much thing that can give you knowledge, whatever it is, positive. I know you can also invest in those things. We must say a very big thank you to Abiola Salami, a business, life, and executive coach. Tell us just briefly, how's it going with the Speak Like a Champion?
Oh, Speak Like a Champion reality TV show. People are registering. You know, there's 2 million naira to be won. Not just 2 million naira. Everything is 3.5. So 2 million naira for the person that comes first, that wins the show. 1 million naira for the first runner-up, and 500,000 naira for the third person. And of course, all of them will be having great access to learning. We have over 15 courses that we're teaching them by the very best in this country. You know, and it's a great platform. People are registering. Again, it is www.abiolachamp.com to register. Registration has not closed yet, so you can just communicate your way to greatness and position yourself to become the champion that will rock your world all the way.
All right, many thanks, Abiola Salami. Well said. So just grab this opportunity, you know, while it lasts. Still to come, how to handle